Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend DG Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Jeremy Adams, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
In brightest day,
in blackest nights,
no evil shall escape my sight,
but those who worship evil's might.
Beware my power.
Green Lantern's light. Hello, and welcome back to Sector 2814, the Green Lantern podcast. I am Phil. Joining me, as always, the happiest master of the Corps it is.
I am Will. Hey, everyone.
That's right, kids, because not only is Hal Jordan back in our reviews back from 2005, but Hal Jordan's back in the present, too.
That is correct. And in a very good way.
Yes. So, kind of like in two ways, Hal Jordan is back, and Will already cannot be more excited.
That's right.
And Zelda.
And Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom came out. Been playing a little of that, too.
Oh, nice.
Like all day. So.
What's that on? What do you play that on? Nintendo Switch?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, so when you were traveling, you were able to take that with you, huh?
I did not.
But
so I was traveling. I got back on Thursday afternoon. Had to go to a job thing from 5 to 7. Came home, went to GameStop and stood in line from 10 o'clock to about 11:30.
Wow.
And got Zelda.
Wow.
It was fun.
Yeah. Wow.
It was actually fun. There was a pretty long line there. So it was just hanging out and chatting Zelda with other Zelda fans.
Do you listen to podcasts? Well, let me tell you.
I know podcasts.
I, of course, love Hal Jordan.
I do.
Speaking of, yes. Let's get into that. Green Lantern #1 came out this week, kids.
It did indeed. What's your report card, Phil? What'd you think, man?
I like it. I like the direction we're going in. I mean... Of course, it wasn't enough yet, but yes. So, what did you think? I mean, you were worried about. Oh, we're just going to bring. I knew Jeremy Adams wasn't going to let us down with the continuity. So, I don't know why they were keeping that under wraps or in that, but because it sounded like the Guardians were quarantining Earth. It's the United Planets, kids.
Yep, exactly. Because the Guardians are still gone at this point. I know we can't have all the answers at once. But from the story with Hal, we had a month ago and now, and the differences between those things and what's going on with what happens at the end of the book. So, I'm not going to talk spoilers here. But I'm even more, I think, confused by John's current status quo. Right?
Yeah. Because it doesn't, again, we don't really get any answers, but we don't even know if John has a ring at this point.
He doesn't need one, right? He's two ascended beings. Hyper time, whatever, of two ascended beings.
and the John story by Philip Kennedy Johnson, I wonder if he's ever going to address that last page we got in the Emerald Knights book, when John's like, I'm going to go find my wife.
Yeah, because Xanshi and Katmatui are in the dark sector apparently. So, well, we know Xanshi is because that's where that book ended up on was, a Xanshi that had never been blown up. So
are we ever going to get to that, or is John just taking a pit stop and visiting his grandmother? It's like,
but there's a John that's doing that, right? In the dark sector.
Oh, that's right. There's two. Oh,
there's two. So, I mean, and that's not Philip Kennedy Johnson's
that wasn't his
fault. That's something that he's going to have to deal with. It's just, it was, that don't get me wrong, it was good. It was just an interesting way to start because it raises. There's already a lot of questions around John's status quo, and this just raises more. You know, I did.
That's why I was hoping for an ongoing like they originally planned, like John getting his own book, because in a backup you're only getting a couple pages a month, and it's like just teasing us even more.
And he only got like 3 pages, and the rest were off in another universe with the what was it? The Radiant Dead, the Radiant Queen.
Yes, something like that. Oh yeah, and a young Guy Gardner.
Yes, or an old Guy Gardner and a younger Kyle that from a different universe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought the younger one was Gardner, but no, he's yelling at the old Guy Gardner. So yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, but
It's the multiverse.
yeah, whatever this thread is, once John Stewart. So yeah. But Hal Jordan, I mean, come on. How did you feel about the Hal Jordan thing? I mean, it's back on Earth. He was kind of. I mean, was he flirting with Carol? Was he?
Oh, definitely. I think. I don't know. I found it interesting that, at the point, at the end of the flashback, he was, really starting to doubt if he'd made the right decision in, telling the United Planets to stick it, right? And I think we find out a little bit that, this is who he is without a ring because we know who he is with a ring.
Yes.
And, he's pretty extraordinary without a ring too, right?
I also found it funny. Who he was fighting Hal was fighting at the end of his story, or what they were wearing, considering what we're covering tonight.
Yeah, it's pretty appropriate, right?
That they just bought online.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody's monitoring that. Like the FBI, the DEO,
somebody, yeah.
Nobody's monitoring. Oh yeah, exotic
Manhunter
weaponry on sale online. Yeah,
come and get it.
Although I do like how Jeremy Adams brought up, I mean, when they bring out these worlds are also fantastical, but I do like when they consider the real world, like Jeremy Adams did here, where it's like, yeah, Hal might not be able to just jump back into a fighter plane because now we're using drones and
Well, and it's really it's also even more appropriate because you look at a lot of those themes are present in the 1 through 6 that we're talking about, from 2005, right? Because he's back, it's not, it's there because things have changed, but I think it's a lot more drastic of a change because Hal hasn't really been back, since once he leaves Earth. He comes back for part at the end of Green Lanterns, I think. And he's there until the first issue of the Grant Morrison series. And then he's, back off in space. Right. So, yeah, he hasn't been around on Earth for an extended period of time.
A long time.
Quite an extended, yeah.
Yeah, probably not too long after what we're covering today. Oh, and is that it? They pretty much have a hood on, and they're sitting in shadow. But that's who sitting in the bar, right?
Sitting in. Oh yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah.
With that sinister look in their eye.
I don't think that's a spoiler. That's on alternate covers and all the solicits. So yeah, definitely Sinestro.
Yeah. So yeah, not a lot on Sinestro, but. Yeah, but Hal's back. So I'm trying to remember, did Carol's husband eventually get killed because now she got a boyfriend? Well, I know eventually she gets with Kyle because he's superior Green Lantern. But yes,
I think we're going to find out about that as this series progresses somewhat because she gets drawn back into the Star Sapphires, pretty soon.
I love that when he's talking on the radio. It's like, Roger that, Queen of the Zamoron. And someone's like, what's a Zamoron?
He's just messing with you. Leave it alone.
And I love, yeah, spoilers, they're doing the whole drone thing, but I love he's flying a green plane.
Yeah.
What I mean, but with Hal, that's probably like, this is some slow AI considering what he's usually using.
Oh yeah, exactly. The ring. So, okay, I do have a spoilery question. So,
Okay.
anybody out there that has not read it yet and you do not want to be spoiled, stop listening now or mute it or whatever, and I'll give you a thumbs up when I'm done and you can, turn it back on. Okay, here we go. So, that ring, he formed it out of willpower. Is that
That's what I'm wondering, because I was like, I don't think we saw a ring on his finger, so I was like, did he have it just on him somewhere and it just recharged it, or did he somehow build one out of willpower?
And if it is it just temporary and he's going to have to tinker with the Manhunter bits to make himself a ring? Because there was something about hot wiring a ring, right? Yeah. So, because I'll be honest, I like him having a standard ring.
Yeah.
Because he can do, awesome things with just a standard ring. He doesn't have to have a special ring to do special things. So, anyway, I was just curious what you thought about that.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because it looked like it appeared out of nowhere. I hope he has a standard ring too. But so did they confiscate his ring and battery? So even if that is a regular ring, he's gonna have to recharge eventually.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, I'm gonna give the thumbs up so people can come back. Hey, you're back, and we're back.
And we're back. So I don't think I have to go out on a limb here and assume you're giving this an A.
Oh yes, definitely.
Definitely an A. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this was in the preview pages, so I'm not giving anything else away. But yeah, that needs to be a poster. That Hal Jordan.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. The color,
very nice.
the art. Yeah, it's all. Yeah.
Yep, the colors, the art, the lettering, everything. This is the writing is really good. I'm looking forward to this run.
Yeah, and everything I saw online, I mean, it looks like it's getting a positive response. So Jeremy Adams, and the whole team, good job.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
We're giving this high marks here, kids. A's.
Mm-hmm.
It's good when you get to the end and you're like, oh, I want more.
Yeah, give me more now.
Exactly. It's not like a 90s Guy Gardner, and it's just like, oh, thank God that's over.
Yep.
So, all right. So, should we jump into tonight's issues? Because, I mean, we have a lot to cover tonight.
We do. Yes, I see you down there, buddy.
Oh, did he miss you?
Yes, Otis is Mouthy. Yes, you're Mouthy Hound Dog, aren't you? Yeah. I can't play right now, bud. Oh no.
Call me Zelda.
All right. So, yes, let's
all right.
Let's dive right in, sir.
So I assume we'll start with the Secret Files and Origins issue.
Mm-hmm. I think that was the story, and that was reprinted in the hardcover in the trade, I think, right?
Yeah, well, which one? Because there's actually two. There's the one with like him, like the flashback with his father and everything, and then the second one, I think that's the one you were telling me about. It was like the printed in that Wizard special, the second story, the one with Parallax is coming.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, they put that one. Actually, they put both of those in the Rebirth collection as well. So.
Yeah, because it's basically those two stories. Everything else is basically like character profiles and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean makes kind of sense, because like if you had just been reading the Cal series and you just you got the new series,
yeah,
give people like a crash course on Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, John Stewart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Green Lantern Secret Files and Origins, #1 from June 2005. The first story is Flight, written by Jeff Johns, pencils and inks by Darwin Cook. Another creator we lost way too soon. Colorist Dave Stewart, letters Jared K. Fletcher, and editors Ivan Cohen and Stephen Wacker. Hal Jordan and Cal Rayner use their rings to fly to Edwards Air Force Base. On the way, Hal remembers back to his childhood. Every morning before school, he snuck onto the base to watch his father pilot a jet overhead. Hal's mother disapproved, so they finally had to stop. A few nights later, Hal's father brought him to the base for a plane ride together. Years later, Hal and Carol Ferris flew in a plane together while on a date. It was her first time back in the air since her father's heart attack required her to manage the company. She and Hal kissed after landing. In the present, Hal and Cal arrive at the base. Hal takes him up for a jet ride so that Cal can experience the thrill of flying without a ring. All right, so what you think about your boy?
It's a good story.
I love it's like the same security guard each time, and he just gives me
Every time, yeah.
and of course they, adjusting for inflation. First it's a 5, 10, it's 20. Yeah. Harold, and Carol and Cal are just like, Harold.
Yeah, this is a really good story.
Yes. Yeah, it really gets in it. And I mean, and as we'll even get to in the other issues tonight, I mean, Jeff Johns will call back to that too. That whole thing with him and the father and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it kind of points out, with Cook's art, you can see how it's got a real classic line to it.
Yes.
And you can see how good Hal's costume looks, but how not as good Kyle's looks.
Yeah. Again, it's like it depends on the artist. Yeah, I mean, and Darwin Cook is a great artist, but it's just like at first that first time we see him, I didn't even realize it was Cal until I looked into the insignia on his chest. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Cal.
Yeah, that's Kyle.
Yeah, that costume's not good. Again, very, very, again, I say that when it's like, when only certain artists can make that good. It's like, a good costume, pretty much any professional comic book artist should be able to do. I mean, probably one of the greatest of all time, Spider-Man. I mean, that Ditko Spider-Man costume, I mean, they'll refine it, little tweaks over the years, but I mean, for the most part, that thing really hasn't changed.
Well, and it's as amazing as an artist as he was, George Perez would usually design really intricate costumes. I mean, look at how Nightwing started off, and it was gradually simplified and streamlined until it's to what we kind of know of today, right?
Yes, high collar.
Some guy I know likes Nightwing. I don't know. I don't remember who he is.
I don't know either. All right, you want to get to the other story, which again, it's kind of takes place before Rebirth, so maybe we should, we should have covered that last week. But the day before, which again written by Jeff Johns, penciler Ethan Von Sciver, inker Prentice Rollins, colorist Moose Bauman, and letterer Rob Lee. Prior to the events of Green Lantern Rebirth, Cal Rayner is in Sector 3599. He defeats an alien creature, then lands among the local people. They grab at him while repeating a sentence which Cal's ring translates as, "Parallax is coming." In California, Hal Jordan uses the power of the Spectre to save a falling jet. The Spectre says the act is a waste of time because there is a murderer in Italy that deserves vengeance. Hal splits apart from the entity while wearing his Green Lantern costume. They argue about using violent methods. Another version of Hal separates, wearing his Parallax costume. The two versions struggle, then merge with the Spectre again. So yeah, pretty much. Again, this was what from that Wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yes, and that was also reprinted in the Green Lantern Rebirth trade paperback.
Yep.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, it originally appeared in Wizard X from 2004. So, yeah, so probably should have talked more about that last week, but yes.
That's all right. We got the important stuff last week.
I guess they're like, hey, if you didn't pick up that wizard issue, here you go.
Here you go. Here it is now.
But no, I mean, that one wasn't bad, but yeah, I did like that Hal Jordan story, and I think it kind of boiled down, who Hal Jordan is, and what we're gonna get to with Jeff Johns, where it's like, the father, basically encouraged them to fly, and his mother's like, "Don't you dare!"
Mm-hmm. It was, which we get at when we're going to start talking about this. Living in fear, being always overcautious and all that, versus Hal, who figures things out as he's falling after he's taken the leap, right?
Oh yeah. What you're playing? Let's hit him hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit him with a big giant boxing glove.
All right, you ready to dive into the issues?
You bet.
The other Green Lantern #1 we're talking about tonight.
That's right. How it's like we planned it, right?
Almost. Yeah. See, Will's like, see, the universe wanted it.
Exactly.
All right, so we'll start off. We're going to cover the first 6 issues of Green Lantern Volume 4. So Green Lantern Volume 4, #1 from July 2005, Airborne. Writer Jeff Johns, pencilers Ethan Von Sciver and Carlos Pacheco, inkers Ethan Von Sciver and Jesus Moreno, colorist Moose Bauman, letterer Rob Lee, and editors Peter Tomasi and Harvey Richards. Several years ago, Green Lantern Abin Sur crash landed on Earth. He summoned former test pilot Hal Jordan to become his successor. Today, Hal asks his friend Shane Sellers for help in regaining his test pilot job. John Stewart calls Hal for help in investigating an abandoned spacecraft in Earth orbit. They discover the craft is empty and determine it was designed for a one-way trip. Hal returns to his home in the newly rebuilt Coast City, where few are willing to live since its destruction by Hank Henshaw and Mongol. Hal reunites with his brother Jim and tries to convince him to return to Coast City. Suddenly, a damaged aircraft flies by Hal's apartment. He rushes off to help it land and makes 2 discoveries. The pilot of the plane is a beautiful blonde named Jillian Cowgirl Perlman. Keep an eye on her, kids. And the engine of the plane is clearly of extraterrestrial origin. Meanwhile, 2 Air Force officers are transporting a mysterious cargo by truck. After they stop at a roadside diner, a robotic humanoid appears at the diner and kills a couple, saying it is looking for its predecessor. A voice from inside the truck's cargo en route to Edward says, "No man escapes." All righty. Oh yeah, and I'd forgotten about this because it's been a while since I'd read this. When Hal and John discuss the inactive status of the Green Lantern Corps, this implies that this arc takes place before the Green Lantern Corps Recharge miniseries.
I'd forgot about that too.
For some reason, in my memory, I just remember I'm like, oh yeah, they just restarted the Corps by issue 1. No.
We actually get to that in a couple of issues, I think. Kilowog and when they're back on Oa.
And then I forget which issue. I don't think it's this one. It might be one of the later ones. But don't they say something like, "Oh yeah, once Ganthet and the Guardians locked Parallax in the battery, then Ganthet aged up the Guardians." I'm like, didn't they look aged up when they were locking him away?
I thought they were. Yeah, I thought they already aged themselves up. So yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that wasn't the original plan. And of course, yes, kids, most of the basic infrastructure of Coast City was rebuilt by Hal as the Spectre and Green Lantern Rebirth. See last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess it says, apparently others took the initiative to go ahead and rebuild the city.
Yeah.
And Hal Jordan's pilot call sign is Highball.
Yep.
And 0000 is the Green Lantern code for abandoned spacecraft. So yeah, what did you think? I mean, again, we brought in the other Jordan brother now. I was just waiting for they're talking about their other brother being dead. I'd be like, oh, what happened to his daughter?
He doesn't remember anything about the Spectre.
Is
Remember?
that just like is that just like cosmic, like spectre things where it's like nobody remembers that niece because like his
I think
other brother
so.
doesn't bring it up, the JLA never brings it up. I'm just like, really? No one's questioning. Oh, hey, where's your niece at?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, and I love when cowgirl gets out of the plane. This blonde woman. He's like, yellow, my weakness.
My weakness. Yep.
And again, we're getting more Manhunters. Yeah. So, what did you think about this when you read it the first time? Were you just like, a good start?
Oh, I mean, it was Jeff Johns, Carlos Pacheco. I mean, I was like, yes, this is awesome. I mean, that it was a really, I think, great way to relaunch the main Green Lantern series.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd forgotten that he and John worked together a bit more, in these first few issues than I had, remembered. So I think that was good. And, we've got the art was spectacular. And, we get more of who Hal is and everything. I think there was an interview. We may have chatted about this before. I can't remember, but I think there was an interview with Jeff Johns when he was talking about creating Simon Baz.
Mm.
And, he said Green Lantern should always be about overcoming fear. That's what it's about.
Mm.
It's about overcoming fear. Now, there are different types of fear to overcome, right? Which is, we've got Jessica, who is, agoraphobic and, has lots of different fears that she has to overcome to be a Green Lantern. And then Simon, people were afraid of him because he was, Muslim,
Mm-hmm.
which was, that was around the time that, Jeff Johns was trying to address that in the comics. So I think this is definitely on target and on theme,
Oh yeah, and especially when they find that abandoned spacecraft and it's yellow, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that would have stopped us before." And
Yeah.
yeah, now we know the key. You have to know fear and deal with it. Yeah.
Yep. It's a really good start to it. Excellent start.
I just remember the first time I read it, I was like, come on, let's just restart the core. Let's not pull another road back. And the beginning of the last volume, I'm like, let's not do the slow build. Come on, let's decide. Let's bring back the core and
move on.
Yeah. Let's shoot those rings out, which we will get to here. So, all right, I'm ready for 2. Number 2. All right, kids. So green. Darn ads. There we go. Green Lantern, Volume 4, Number 2 from August 2005. No Fear. Writer Jeff Johns, penciler Carlos Pacheco, inker Jesus Marino, color Moose Bauman, editor Rob Lee. Yeah, so basically same team, but Ethan isn't here. All right. General Stone from Edwards Air Force Base arrives to reclaim the test jet. Jordan, as Green Lantern, asks about the extraterrestrial technology, but Stone declares it classified. Hal remembers that he lost his original test pilot job for punching stuff. Meanwhile, John Stewart investigates the diner murders in connection with the abandoned spacecraft and informs Jordan. Hal returns home to his brother Jim, who begs for Hal to leave Coast City and the Air Force behind. He declines. Jim leaves Coast City. Hal returns to Edwards to talk to Shane Sellers. Sellers tells him if he wants his old job, he'll need to apologize to General Stone. The truck with the mysterious cargo arrives at the base, then explodes, with a damaged Manhunter robot emerging. Hal quickly changes into Green Lantern and engages the robot in battle. During the battle, he is knocked into a hangar where he sees Abin Sur's ship has been rebuilt. Just then, the robotic humanoid figure appears and declares the Manhunter robot obsolete. The skin melts off the humanoid to reveal that it is a new and improved Manhunter robot. Oh yeah, and then this the little the damaged Manhunter robot is referred to as Manhunter 1988.2814 by the newer design. Most likely, the 1988 is a reference to the year of the Millennium event.
Millennium crossover. Yep.
Yes. Because isn't that the other thing where the general's basically like, oh yeah, that's basically where they grabbed the Manhunter after the Millennium event.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he really wanted to save himself from trouble. He couldn't have just swung by a art gallery in Manhattan.
Exactly. We know where the head of one is,
There's just Manhunters littered all over this planet, I swear.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, another good issue. I mean, we get another good, like, big cliffhanger at the end here, keeping our interest.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and I guess yes, his brother Jim taking after his mother, and he's like, no, it's too dangerous. Leave the Air Force. Leave the Green Lantern.
Yep.
Should have been like, that's the other reason I'm alive right now is to all the superhero stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, what about that running gag? I swear, at least one time every issue we read this week, it's like, so, people are like, Green Lantern, I thought you were dead.
Yeah, it is a running gag.
It would have been even funnier if he would have pulled the old X-Men line. I got better. All right. All right. So anything else on this, or you want to get to the next one?
Let's jump to the next one.
All right, because I think that's the wrap up to this first arc. It's hard to remember. I read most of these, I read these in big chunks. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I didn't want to put it down. Oh yeah,
I know.
This is the airplane scene, which we'll get to. I kind of remember it differently in my head, but yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right, so Green Lantern number 3, September 2005. Flight delay.
Yep.
Same team. The new Manhunter model attacks Hal Jordan and it opens up to reveal a Green Lantern power battery inside its head, which drains Hal's ring of most of its power. The damaged Manhunter flies away with the new model in pursuit. Hal and Shane convince General Stone to allow Hal to fly one of the jets after them, but not before Hal punches Stone in the jaw.
Again.
Man, since he's been back, man, he's been decking guys left and right. Batman, General.
Exactly. Yeah.
General Stone reluctantly explains to Hal that the U.S. military confiscated Abensur spacecraft many years ago. They were unable to fix the ship until they found a damaged Manhunter robot after the Millennium event. 7 weeks ago, the robot turned itself on. The new Manhunter damages the old Manhunter enough that it lands in the middle of Coast City and activates its self-destruct sequence, which would destroy the entire city. The new Manhunter turns its attention to Hal and pulls him out of the cockpit of his jet. In free fall, a powerless Jordan recites the Green Lantern oath as he pulls the robot's head Green Lantern battery off. Well, with his ring recharged, Hal grabs the self-destructing Manhunter and takes it into space. The robot admits that it is afraid of ceasing to exist shortly before detonating. The next day, Hal talks to General Stone about a pilot position. Stone accepts Hal's apology and admits that he determined that Hal is Green Lantern from the style of his punch. That night, Hal sees his brother moving in the Coast City with his family. In a short epilogue, a robed figure acting as the new Grand Master of the Manhunter surveys a group of imprisoned Green Lanterns, all of whom were supposedly killed by Hal Jordan when he was Parallax. Get to that soon. All right. All right. So yeah, that scene with the with him jumping out of the plane to recharge his ring. I remember that differently. For some reason, maybe I don't know what it is, time or what, but I just remember him going like head first at the pointing the plane right at the Manhunter and basically like the cockpit exploding and him just like throwing his fist at the Manhunter's head. But I don't know.
It's still cool, man.
Oh yeah, it's cool. Yeah. And again, maybe it's like a different continuity now after Crisis, but I'm like, didn't like Hal like drop a mountain on Abinsur's spaceship?
I thought so. We're gonna get, when we do Secret Origin, we're gonna get a
Yeah,
nice
maybe it's,
revamped,
yeah.
so that'll hopefully, kind of put all of those continuity concerns at bay.
Yeah. Guess it's another Hal's niece. Okay.
Yeah, but we did get now. Didn't this end with a kind of an epilogue with the Grandmaster on the planet,
Yes.
on the Manhunter planet? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, with the imprisoned Green Lanterns. Yep.
Yep.
I forgot. Yeah, the identity of the mysterious new Grandmaster will be revealed in issue 11, kids. So
Mhm.
it's going to be a little bit.
We know who it is right now.
I think so. That's another thing. I don't know if I actually remember. So it might be somewhat of a surprise to me.
Yeah, I think I know who it is, but I'm not for certain.
But yeah, kids, it's been a while since we've seen them because I list the Green Lanterns here. It's Boudica, Chazalon, Honu, Jack T. Chance, Kihon, Lara, Tomar 2, and Creon. Man, it's been a while since we discussed them.
And they were pre-Emerald Twilight, right?
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, I think with the Emerald Twilight, didn't we do that? Like that was like episode 34.
Yeah, it's been
it's been almost probably been 80, 90 episodes since we talked about them.
Yep. And then I know that Boudica, I think she becomes an Alpha Lantern, and I don't remember the Alpha Lantern story, but that's a good 20. That's in like the third year of Green Lantern Corps, I think, is Alpha Lanterns, maybe
Again,
like
it's been so
27, 28, 29, somewhere in there, maybe. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time since I read them too. Yeah. Will King get past Rebirth. He reads that every year, and he's like,
yeah, Rebirth.
All right. Should we get to number 4?
You bet.
All right. And another figure that got teased during Rebirth last week. All right. Green Lantern number 4 from October 2005. Alienated. Writer Jeff Johns, penciler and inker Ethan Von Sciver, colorist Moose Bauman, letterer Rob Lee, and editors Peter Tomasi and Michael Siglane. Outside Coast City, 2 soldiers are driving along the road late at night and run down a little gray alien. As the 2 soldiers look at it, the alien dies, saying that it just went out for a cigarette. I want to tell you, smoking will kill you, kids. Hal Jordan observes the recreation of the Green Lantern Corps, finally, with Kilowog,
Yep.
the chief trainer of the Corps. Kilowog explains that after Parallax was defeated, Ganthet accelerated the infant Guardians of the Universe to adulthood. There we go. Then they locked themselves in the Citadel, making new power rings and talking to Kilowog via his ring. The rings began sector scans 4 days earlier and haven't stopped since. Several veterans will be reinvited to join, but the majority of the Green Lantern Corps will be newcomers. For old time's sake, Hal and Kilowog engage in a hand-to-hand sparring match in a mud marsh, but Hal is distracted by a telepathic voice. His ring intercepts a call to his home phone on Earth. General Stone needs Green Lantern's help. That was so funny when all the new Green Lanterns like, who's that Earth guy? They're letting Earthlings in the Corps now.
I thought they were extinct.
But you could just see the relief on Hal's face. He's like, they don't know who I am and what I did. He's like, oh, thank God. Hal arrives and scans the alien, discovering it is not an alien at all, but an evolved human. Stone receives a call from Bellreeve. Hector Hammond wants to talk to Green Lantern about the body. So see, kids, saw him in Rebirth. He's back. Hal visits Hammond's cell, demanding to know who is responsible for the evolution. Hammond was evolved under similar circumstances, but is unwilling to talk without experiencing some of Jordan's memories. Hal allows this, but Hammond goes too far and steals too many memories, prompting Hal to beat him. More fisticuffs. Hal Hammond admits that all he knows is that they are aliens performing experiments, and they are in Coast City now. Meanwhile, here's this issue's cliffhanger: a newly mutated shark emerges from the water and devours a couple. So we're really diving back into that classic rogues gallery. Hector Hammond. We're gonna we tease the shark here.
Shark, and coming up a certain one-handed villain.
Oh yeah, talk to the Black Hand. Yes. Oh yes, we saw that when Hal was talking to Kilowog, we saw all the rings going out. But yes, we did see one ring go out, set for Sector 1417, the home sector of Sinestro.
Oh yeah, I wonder who that might be. Nick. Sorry.
Was there someone before her? Because it's saying here, presumably the ring recruits Tarkus Wynn.
Oh, I guess, and then he dies. I guess maybe in the first part of Green Lantern Corps or something. We'll have to get there. But yeah, she eventually gets the ring in the first or second issue of Recharge, I think, or is it the ongoing?
Let me see. Is there a first? I just clicked on her. Yes, Green Lantern Corps Recharge #1. First appearance, and then her death. Green Lantern Corps Recharge #1. Spoilers.
So now we know.
So yeah, she's not gonna have that ring for long. Sornik's gonna get that ring pretty quickly. And speaking of, yes, they mentioned Guy Gardner and Cal Rayner. Yes, we will see them next in Green Lantern Corps Recharge. Well, at least Cal. Yes, we're gonna talk some Guy next week.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, that whole plot gets picked up in Green Lantern Corps Recharge. So, so what do you think is Hector Hammond one of Hal's major rogues, or?
He is old school. I mean, we're talking going back to what, issues 2 or 3 or something along that, and of course he's going to be a big part of the Secret Origin that's coming up, which is interesting because John's had a few arcs before he really kind of delved into Secret Origin. After it was post Sinestro Corps War, right? And then he went back and we got this retooled, rebooted, really kind of slick, would have made a better movie, I'm just saying, version of Green Lantern's origin. And then, boom, we were off to the races in the build up to Blackest Night, right? So, Hammond, I kind of like Hammond after what we see happen, in these next 2 issues or next issue or whatever. But in Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, Hector Hammond actually ends up helping Hal out against a family of Kryptonians that are not very nice. So I kind of like Hector, I don't know.
Oh, and because Lilith was telling me a few weeks ago, like she picked up like a collection real cheap of Secret Origin. But it must have been put out like around what was that? When was the movie out? 2011 or whatever?
Yeah.
Because they put like Ryan Reynolds on the cover of it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. But and it also had an introduction, I guess, written by Ryan Reynolds. But
okay.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure it was just a collection of Secret Origin, but they put him on the cover.
Hang on, I'll get Secret Origin right here.
Many little bound books. Yes, I remember that cover. Yes.
Yes, excellent story. Ivan Rice does the art. It's really, really good. And it gets into so Rebirth was a new beginning, and that leads directly into the Green Lantern ongoing series plus Green Lantern Corps.
Yes.
But Secret Origin is really Hal's origin, how he goes from being, really selfish and kind of, afraid of some things to becoming, the Green Lantern that we see really in the first issue, post rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of skip over all the bad stuff, right? But it's interesting. I think it's super interesting that it reprints. Let's see, because it's like in the late 20s, isn't it? The issues.
Yeah, I think it might start there. It might even go into the early 30s, doesn't it? Because
Yeah, 29 through 35.
yeah. So that's after Sinestro Corps War. Yeah.
That's 7 issues.
Yeah.
7 issues for Secret Origin. It's got Abin Sur in it. It's got Sinestro. It's got Atrocitus. It's this would have been such an awesome movie,
Yeah.
But I find it so interesting that we went from Rebirth, and instead of doing the origin next, we just get right back into things. And I think that was really a really intelligent move by Johns and editorial to just, we're going to keep going, and then we will come back and give you that Secret Origin after we've accelerated through Sinestro Corps War, which is Sinestro Corps War is just so amazing.
Oh yeah. Kind of give you a little breather after Sinestro Corps War.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, thinking back on it, I'm kind of glad they didn't jump into the origin, issue 1 and stuff, because it's kind of be like you'd be sitting there going, well, I'm waiting for him to catch up to the present day, and
Exactly. Yep.
the universe, and no. All right, ready for the next issue?
You bet.
All right, let's swim on over to that. Green Lantern number 5 from November 2005, Feeding Frenzy. Jeff Johns writer, penciler Ethan Von Sciver, inker Prentice Rollins, colorist Peter Steigerwald, letterer Rob Lee, and editors Peter Tomasi and Michael Siglane. On a plane heading to Coast City, a man named Jerry talks with the passenger he's sitting next to about how he wanted a fresh start. As he offers his hand, the passenger reveals that he's missing one himself. It's William Hand. William Hand. Old Billy Hand. He has no desire for a fresh start, but retribution. Suddenly, the plane is caught in a bright light, and 3 gremlin-like creatures appear on the wing, speaking in German. They enter the plane and grab Hand. At Edwards Air Force Base, Hal Jordan is taking off his ring, about to go on his first test flight in years, when Colonel Sellers tells him that General Stone wants to see him. Stone says that there was a bizarre double murder on the beach last night, one of whom was a sailor, and Stone wants Hal to go help investigate. Heading to the beach, police are trying to secure the crime scene and what little is left of the bodies. Both heads were crushed open and their brains eaten out.
Exactly.
And a tooth was left behind, too big for any normal animal. Green Lantern, however, knows of one and immediately heads into the ocean. Underwater, Hal finds a massive amount of sharks, which he assumes are the little ones, hoping to catch some of the bigger ones' meal. Sure enough, Hal's suspicions are soon confirmed. It's the shark. At Belle Reve, Hector Hammond is being washed down, bored that he has nobody interesting to listen in on. Suddenly, he becomes aware that the same gremlin-like creatures are in his cell, and he begins to panic. In the ocean, Hal, in a green cage, uses his ring to scan the shark's stomach, learning that he was responsible for the murders. Suddenly, the shark bites through the cage and Hal's force field. Hal realizes that the shark must have used his psychic abilities to make him feel fear. However, the shark's mind is confused. He's having trouble thinking and doesn't recognize Hal, but only desires to eat his brain. Okay, Venom.
Brains.
The shark and Hal go on a merry chase that ends when the shark rams them through the hull of a ship. The shark goes for the sailors, but Hal stops him with a green fish hook. The shark concentrates and finally recognizes Green Lantern. In Coast City, William Hand is deposited in a park in his Black Hand costume, but looking decidedly unhealthy. Suddenly, the grass and plants begin dying around him, and his hand starts to reform, only to then fade away. Deciding that he needs more, he goes to a nearby hospital. On the ship, Hal is able to blow the shark back into the water. Unsure how long the battle will take, Hal has his ring get his battery. As he's in the middle of recharging, the shark jumps out of the water and pulls Hal under. Running out of options, Hal plunges the battery in the shark's mouth, and the shark is rendered unconscious in the blast. However, Hal and the shark soon find themselves pulled into an alien ship manned by the gremlins. At the hospital, Black Hand begins draining the life force out of everyone on the floor, leaving them dead, and him with his hand. All right, so Johns isn't kidding around here. I mean, we've upgraded. I mean, the shark is now like it's like something out of a horror movie. So is Black Hand.
Hector Hammond, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he and they went really dark too, with all of those, which I get because they want to contrast, Hal's light, almost literally, right? So it makes a lot of sense, but scanning his stomach for remains. That's pretty dark.
And again, I mean, this is what I want. I'm always harping about this, where it's like, I know the Green Lanterns are cosmic figures, especially here. We're going to be ramping up the more and more cosmic stuff, but I like we get it. We get an issue on Earth, him dealing with one of his old enemies, the shark, but kind of with a new twist. He's like more deadly and
and we get him, and he's only just barely on Oa. It's not like it's outer space action. It's just like, hey, I'm on Oa. I'm gonna, fight with Kilowog because apparently I like pain. But and then he's right back on Earth. So we're on. It's very Earth centric. All 6 of these issues that we're talking about.
Yeah, as we're kind of trying to set up a status quo here. And was it this one where the general calls him in to investigate? He's like, I didn't come back for the work for you as Green Lantern, right?
I'm sorry, what?
I said, no, I think it was this issue when he tells the general, he's like, I didn't come back to work for you because I'm as Green Lantern.
As Green Lantern, yeah. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I mean, and then we shift because I don't remember what's coming up next, but didn't 1 year later happen pretty soon after this?
Before that, we'll get Infinite Crisis, because I believe Infinite Crisis is number 7 is like the Infinite Crisis crossover, because get Hal and Ollie again. So
good old days, right?
Oh yeah. All right, should we do number 6?
Let's hop on it.
All right, Green Lantern number 6, December 2005. Man, we're already through 2005, Will.
Yeah, I know. We're moving and grooving now.
although with some of the other series, might have to jump back a little bit, but
yeah.
All right, Black Sheep. Where that could be? Writer Jeff Johns, pencilers Ethan Von Sciver and Simone Bianchi. Inker Ethan Von Sciver. Colors Nathan Eyring and Peter Steigerwald. Letter Rob Lee. Editor Peter Tomasi, Michael Siglin. All right. On a naval destroyer, the crew are looking for any sign of the Green Lantern. One of them sees a light, and a flying saucer soon rises from the ocean. The captain radios General Stone at Edwards. On the ship, the aliens have the shark secured and are about to begin experimenting on Green Lantern when Hector Hammond wakes him up. Green Lantern quickly traps the aliens in small cages, and his ring informs him that the aliens are Krolotians, or gremlins, beings who are prone to tampering with a planet's natural resources, be they technological or biological, and accelerate their evolution. Suddenly, Green Lantern begins to weaken as Black Hand drains the life force from him. Hand says that Green Lantern will be the 23rd person he's killed, and he shouldn't mind, as death is good. As Hand monologues, Hal has flashbacks involving his family. Suddenly, Black Hand is thrown off by an explosion from outside. The Air Force has come to investigate, only to be fired upon, and has returned fire. Cowgirl and Colonel Sellers are part of the squadron. Green Lantern begins trying to stabilize Hector Hammond when the shark breaks free from his container. Still hungry as the Krolotians begin trying to destroy Cowgirl's plane physically. Green Lantern jumps on, leading the shark, who attacks the Krolotians. Unfortunately, Black Hand, who can now fly, arrives and knocks Green Lantern into a nearby graveyard. In the graveyard, Black Hand rages against Green Lantern, saying that he had his chance at life and doesn't get to come back. He further assumes that Green Lantern hates death because it's more powerful than him. Green Lantern stops his rant by slicing off Black Hand's regrown hand and knocking him into a hole he just dug. That's a punch-in. Does he come back? Saying that without life, death has no purpose. Green Lantern then catches the crashing ship, saving Hammond. In the hole, Black Hand continues that death is stronger. At Edwards Air Force Base, Hal discusses the recent events with General Stone. They managed to capture Black Hand and Hammond, but the shark escaped. Hangar 44 is about to be converted into a facility to contain Hammond, Hand, and what's left of the Manhunter android. Later, Hal takes the Krolotians and their ship to the Green Lanterns of Sector 2812, who speak German, which is actually Krolotian.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
I love that line. It's like, oh, you think the Egyptians were the only ones on your planet who stole our alien languages?
Yeah.
In Hangar 44, Hector Hammond talks about how exciting the whole experience was, but the Manhunter merely drones on. No man escapes the Manhunters. Each time Hector communicates with him, Hector, however, reveals that he knew the Krolotians were coming and that they made certain adjustments and alterations to his body, and tells the Manhunter that things are different now with his voice. Thoughts?
Yay.
Yeah, I know.
The art this issue was
because we had like another artist on there. Yeah,
it was much different than Carlos Pacheco. It
wasn't bad. It was just different than
was different. Yeah,
in the first 5 issues. Yeah, it was kind of abrupt change.
Exactly, and I think it goes back to actually. I don't know that Pacheco comes back, does he?
I can't remember. Guess we'll have to see. Again, I remember the old stuff better because I've read those over and over. These ones I haven't read as many times, so a lot of this is going to be a surprise for me too.
Yeah, me too. Because I've read them once and went on.
Exactly. I thought there was something I wanted to say, and I can't remember what I was going to comment on.
Well, Black Hand is already setting up Blackest Night.
Oh yeah, you could tell Jeff Johns got stuff in the works for a while here. Yeah. Man, I wish I would have remembered what I was going to say. That's all right. The second we log off, I'll remember.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
But yeah, I mean, again, more good stuff. Classic Rogues, new stuff. These Gremlins.
Yeah, it was. This first arc. It's really 2 arcs, right? When you get right down to it, first 2 little mini arcs are, a really good reintroduction to Hal, his supporting cast, the Green Lanterns, the Corps, and and then planting a lot of seeds that will bear fruit, for Sinestro Corps War and beyond.
Oh yeah. And Hammond playing a big role. So I mean, I wonder if did that influence them sticking him in the movie, or was
I don't know, but it was interesting because he did play an interesting part in Rebirth as well, right? So but do we see when does Hammond next appear? Is it in Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps? Because that'd be like 10 years later.
No, he's got to appear before that. I mean, he has. I assume he appears somewhere again during Jeff Johns' run.
Let's see.
Hector Hammond.
After Green Lantern Rebirth. Here we go. Okay.
War of Light.
Let's see. War of Light. Oh, he appears in Infinite Crisis, being broken out of prison along with several other supervillains.
Well, I guess we'll get there. We're gonna get there, kids.
And then in the War of Light, he's swallowed by the power belonging to Larfleeze.
I see this.
Okay, interesting.
Oh, that's good. I can't wait to get there. Oh, yes. The Blackest Night is first name dropped in this issue. Yes.
And that's a good 3.5 years out.
I mean, we're not going to start that till the end of this year. So, I mean, how,
Because Blackest Night,
hold on, let me pull up the schedule. I'll tell you like some of the issues where it starts. Because, it's not like it was within like the next couple months when these were coming out.
Yeah, it was far in advance. Because you still have to get through Sinestro Corps War, which was, a 17-parter. It was a pretty big crossover as well, and it ran for a few months.
All right, here we go. Down to the bottom, it looks like.
Was it like in the 40s? Of Green Lantern?
Yeah, it might have started around Green Lantern 43. So I mean, yeah,
Okay.
we're 30 some issues away. So yeah, we're 3 years probably from their time from that.
Yeah, and that's some excellent plotting there.
Yeah, you can tell Jeff Johns had some some long-term plans. He had some long stage Chris Claremont type planning here.
Yeah. And then so we really kind of Secret Origins kind of, I think, the next really big story that's coming after Sinestro Corps War.
Oh, yeah.
So we do Sinestro Corps War, then Secret Origin. Then we have those little mini arcs. We have Agent Orange, Rage of the Red Lanterns, Sins of the Star. Actually, Sins of the Star Sapphire was in Green Lantern Corps, I think. And introducing all of the other, cores and the colors. And then that leads directly into the Blackest Night. And then after it, the next big one is War of the Green Lanterns, I think, with Corona coming back, right? Which leads into the New 52.
Oh, God. Or once again, another Green Lantern #1 happens, and Sinestro plays a big part.
It's very on brand. On brand.
It seems all right. I'm sensing a pattern here. Starting with Volume 4, it seems like every Green Lantern #1 now that involves Hal Jordan, we either get Sinestro or Manhunters.
Yeah, and maybe the next one should have both. Actually, this one did have both.
Yes, yes. Jeremy Adams did his history.
Yep, did his research.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on this?
Nope. Very enjoyable, and we're in for some really good Green Lantern stuff over the next several months.
And a lot of Green Lantern as we start adding more and more series.
Yep, absolutely. What's Phil? What do we have coming up next week?
Well, next episode, William, we're going to talk 2 issues, a short little series, 2-issue series called Guy Gardner Collateral Damage.
Okay.
And then in 2 weeks, we will talk the Ron Thanagar War miniseries and the Infinite Crisis special. So,
all right.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was Cal in the Ron Thanagar War.
I think he was, wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah, so that might be. Yeah. And then in 3 weeks, we'll get to the Green Lantern Recharge miniseries, 6-issue miniseries.
Nice.
And then the week after that, we'll start Infinite Crisis with Infinite Crisis #1 and get back to this Green Lantern series with Green Lantern 7 and 8. So,
All right. Awesome.
so those must be the tie-in issues for Infinite Crisis. Oh yeah, Infinite Crisis. That's so on brand. Infinite Crisis. Yes, the crisis will never end there at DC, kids. Just one crisis after another.
Forever and always, infinitely.
Just like these characters, they were here before you, and they'll be here long after you're dead.
That's right. Now we do have Final Crisis coming up.
Oh yeah. We're gonna cover a little bit of that because I know I at least on the schedule. There's a Final Crisis one
Rage
shot.
of the Red
Rage of the
Lanterns.
Red Lanterns. It's on the schedule.
Yep.
Yes.
Mhm,
Yep.
Nice.
So that's what you were saying. I was like, we have some of those Green Lantern events, but then they throw them somewhat into like the larger DC events like Infinite Crisis, Final Crisis.
Yep. Absolutely.
Lots
Lots of good stuff coming.
Not so Final Crisis.
Yeah. Not so final. Final asterisk, not final.
Final.
Crisis.
Final for now.
Yeah.
All right. So, yes, kids, next week, Guy Gardner, Collateral Damage 1 and 2. So, send us your thoughts on this. Send us your thoughts on the new Green Lantern #1 by Jeremy Adams.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, again, send everything, all the Green Lantern thoughts. Email us, CapesandLunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can find all things Capes and Lunatics, episodes, social media, merchandise, the Patreon. Please subscribe to the Patreon. Because once again, starting in May and going for 4 months this summer, once a month, Little Hellfire is going to get stinking drunk and cover one of the Heroes Reborn series with me. So I think we're going to start with the Fantastic Four one. So buckle in, kids. And it's going to be on Patreon, so she can swear as much as she wants at it. So, but yes, find everything at tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. That's tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. All right, Mr. William Allred, Master of the Core, Master of the Quantum Zone, Master of Crossover Division, and The Legend of Zelda. Where can people find you and the comics you create and the podcast you create when you're not busy gaming?
Well, you can find me at Walred. That's at WALLRED. That's at Gmail and Twitter and Facebook and probably other social media that I don't remember at this point. You can find the comics that I create. The first one, Crossover Division, is at crossoverdivision.com. We're live with a Kickstarter right now when we're recording. Probably not when this is on the podcast, but if you want to check that out, you can do that at crossoverdivision.com/KS or crossoverdivision.com/Kickstarter. And if you'd like to check out Diary of Night, which is another book I write, that's diaryofnight.com. And as Phil says, when I'm not annoying him, I annoy another podcaster. Kevin Joseph is a writer of Tart. We get together on Friday nights and talk to Kickstarter comic book creators about their live projects in a podcast called Explain Yourself to try and boost indie comics on Kickstarter. And finally, you obviously have great taste because you're here listening to us talk about Green Lantern. So that means you must love Quasar as well. And, of course you do. If you'd like to find out more about Quasar, then you can do that at the Quantum Zone, quantumzone.org.
Hey, boys, you look at the party? I love the party.
I'll put it in my navel.
They aren't even attempting to enter our orifices.
Tom DeFalco wrote that.
I know.
I'm getting a package every other day.
Fantastic. And of course, kids, he's back.
I, of course, love Hal Jordan.
I do.
All right. Thank you for joining us again next week. Guy Gardner, Collateral Damage.
Good times. Good
The
times.
universe is going to expand again, kids. And down to one series. Now we're going back out.
Absolutely.
Yay. And Ion is not too distant in our future either. So
Yeah, that happens right before Sinestro Corps War, doesn't it?
I think we're covering that in July. So it's coming soon.
Yeah.
All right, kids. Thank you for joining us. And remember, I think we're going to need a bigger boat. Good night.